Hello there, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, Space Station. Anyways, it's Kerbal, we're back. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I actually did something last time, and they've actually come out with some upgrades to our artistic career. I have no idea if we'll get that in my old game, but basically snow actually no longer an issue, and the reason is simple. Whenever they actually come with an update, I can just go with starting science to set this up to something. I can basically set up my own difficulty here. If you go for hard, for instance, you, well, get a lot of annoying stuff, like science rewards on 60%, penalties 200%, basically everything not good moderate, a little bit nicer, but normal is basically what we will be going for. Everything at 100%, and allow reverting flights, allow quick loading, missing cruise respawn, auto high crew members before flight, no entry focus required on research, so yeah, it's kind of a beneficial thing. And I'm actually going to be a little bit cheaper, start with 320 science, and well, the reason for that is actually to some extent fairly simple. By starting with some science, I can get going all a lot quicker. As you can see here, we also have a new department, so to speak: finance, science, public relations, operations. So basically here, if you see, if I go for this thing, it takes 5% of my funds income, and for each time it gets 35,557 funds from myself, I will get a point of science. And of course I can change the commitment to make it cheaper. For instance, if I do this, it will take everything I get, but it will give me it a lot cheaper, as you can say. So potentially this is something we'll be messing around with in the future. It's kind of an interesting scenario. Now, what this episode is more or less going to be about is getting ourselves up into a stable orbit, more or less. We're also going to do some research first with the 320 points that I, well, graciously gave myself. Going to get, of course, the first basic rocketry. We're going to get some survivability. The goal here is, however, to get the Science Junior, Science Tech, so there we go. I think we might want this thing too for the inline reaction wheel. We're going to take the stability parts, although I'll probably not use them too much. They will definitely be useful to have. And of course we'll go with some general rocketry here to get some better stuff. And since we do have a fair bit of points left. Now the big problem here is, do I want to have anything down this line because it costs 90? Or do I want to go for basically getting well, a bigger fuel tank? I'm a little bit unsure. It could, of course, be beneficial to get an extra fuel tank, or bigger fuel tank in this case. But we'll see. Right now, as I said, we're not actually planning anything ridiculously difficult. We're just going to go for a quick turn up into space and get some resources. I think we'll just go with advanced rocketry, and we basically have a good amount of starting stuff. Now, of course, its goal is more or less just to get up into space and then get back down. We're going to start with a simple command pod. Propulsion-wise, I think we're going to smack a decent fuel tank on this thing. After all, it actually has to land. We're going to go with the light engine. And as I said, what we're actually going for here is science. We're going to add a lot of science on this trip, so we're going to smack 3 of these on. And this is basically the setup that I will use whenever we end up going to the moon too. We're going to smack 3 of these on, probably some rockets beneath. But since we're just going into space, or into an orbit, we're not going to need too ridiculous or too advanced stuff. This should work. We're basically now 3+3 good. We have Science Junior, and with that we should be fine. We'll have a little bit of help with that thing. Luckily, hilariously enough, I can actually put them or place them on here anyways, but we're actually going to place another 3 parachutes on this thing just to be safe. And of course, since we are actually trying to land here in a, well, orderly fashion per se, we should probably go ahead and slap on a couple of landing gears per se. Now they're not completely in line, which could be an issue, so let's go. There we go. Should be decently focused now. Now of course we are going to need some propulsion to get this thing up in the air, but I'm also going to need this thing, which I think I can actually place there, and it's fine. I do not need 3 of these things. It's basically just a RCS control thingy that's going to help me fly a little bit better. I'm actually really tempted to try this thing, a 3 cupola beneath, if you will. And we're going to pull some rockets. Now this rocket here is probably going to be a little bit overkill, I think, for getting up into, or for just getting up into space, but we'll see. It might be, it might not be, it might be. It's kind of a gamble here. I might do it this horribly wrong too. Did I put the right? No, I did not put the right engine on. And it's actually getting quite expensive already, 25,000. So yeah, this is not going to be good for the budget, but whilst who cares? So what else do we need? We do need some more push up, I think. So I'm going to do this again. I haven't really done any research. I'm just messing around here for fun, more or less. So this rocket could go horribly wrong and explode. I'll do some more research before the next messing about. There we go. That should be pretty good. And place another set on the others. Now again, this is not a line, this is not by any means a good setup, I would presume. I'm pretty sure we might actually explode on launch. So you are hereby warned. This does not come with any guarantees at all. This is just a haphazard setup that I decided to put together right now. So it's not something that you should well, be messing around with yourself. So let's see here. These are the things that we'll get rid of. Get rid of the rocket max tanks, or the 6 tanks on the side. So here we basically have all of our rocketry ready. We have the 3 decouplers, or hang high things. I don't know what they're actually called. You could probably check. The launch stability enhancer. And hopefully here this craft will actually take us up into space. But it's a gamble. Because I'm really shitty at... Basically, I think this series more is going to be a series of attempts and failures. Now, let's see here. Where is my... There do we have the parachutes. We will stabilize the SAS. Get the speed up, and I think we're ready for launch. Okay, this thing is shaking horribly already, and it's going to explode. Yeah, basically I think having 6 of those is a little bit overkill, so we are going to revert flight. We're going to revert it to assembly, and we're going to get rid of 3 of these tanks, because definitely most likely going to tear the craft apart. Instead, but unsure how I actually want to solve the situation, because we're going to need some more carry power, so to speak. Let's try this once more. I should probably just set up a regular 4-quarter or 4-system craft, but that's no fun. So we'll try this instead. It should be a little bit more stable. Probably not, due to it not being centered properly, but in theory it should be a little bit more stable, and to help that we're going to add, well, a little bit of struts to try and help out the issue of them wobbling around. So that should help a little bit at least. So we'll have to see now how the system works out. It might still be horrible, mind you, but at least now we have a, in theory, a little bit better ship. So we'll see how it goes this time. Everything seems to be ready, and off we go. Well, it's still wobbling like hell, so basically what I really need to do here is not... Yeah. Well... you know what, we're just going to scrap the bottom part in its entirety, because it's basically not a viable option. So we're going to do this instead. We're going to max or place 3 of these. Yeah, two should be fine. Let's add 1 of those. We're going to give this thing because it's a little bit more maneuverable. And then we're going with, I think, a 4 type of setup here, where we're basically going with 4 regular rockets per se, or regular fuel tanks, and that will be basically our way of getting up into space. Hopefully that is. There we go, that should work. Could of course slap some more on it, but I don't see the need. And again, wrong thing, needs some power. So this should, in theory, be enough to drag or force this thing up into space. A little bit unsure if this thing being placed wrong might be helping. I'm also pretty sure that on that last attempt I completely forgot to set up the what the hell is that system called? The SAS, the flight stabilizing shenanigans. So we'll do that too, and place some more struts, this time in a little bit of a more orderly fashion per se. That should, in theory, help keep everything a little bit more stable. It might still, mind you, it might still flap around, but at least now it should be a little bit better. I'm kind of trying to speed things along here, rather than actually thinking, so that might be a big issue. So, depending on what we decide to the next episode, if you guys want to see me basically build a proper rocket in advance, if you want me to basically go back, remove my signs, that's fine too. Basically, depending on what you guys feel I should do, I'll probably either pre-build my rockets, just so I actually know that they will work, that they're ready, and then go through this the process I used to build them. That could be a potential. Or I might just keep on haphazardly building stuff and see how we'll see how well it does. But yeah, it seems like this rocket is just way too heavy. I should probably add another layers of thrusters to make sure that I should get high enough up here. This is probably going to burn out of fuel before we even get close. So that's a bummer. But we are gaining a little bit of speed. As fuel goes down, the speed will go up a little bit quicker. Of course, height will also help here. But as I'm saying, I'm pretty sure that we have a situation here where I will probably not get all the way into space. I probably won't be able to stabilize a space route. But basically, here, this rocket is actually pretty damn stable on its own. I'm not using the SAS at all. I forgot to turn it off, but yeah, this is a pretty stable rocket. It didn't do anything on its own. Now what we're going to do at this 10,000 meter mark is going to go in a 45 degree incline. That is basically to set ourselves up for that circular orbit. Basically just setting ourselves up for an orbit, more or less. And I think actually we do have enough fuel to pull this off, which is a little bit surprising to say the least. But at least it's positive. See how we're doing in terms of this 31. Well, we will at least make it up to space, but I don't think we'll make a proper orbit. That might be a little bit more than we're capable of. At least I managed to lift this rocket up into space, which means that we have a viable system here for a potential Mars rocket. The only thing, of course, is that it will be quite a bit heavier because moon rocket, because I will be adding tanks and basically, well, things beneath here to help. And we are actually at a place where we can just cut that, and we're basically going to, once we get to the highest point here, aim to stabilize ourselves in a, well, orbit. 177. Well, this works. It's not a perfect orbit, it's not a good orbit, but you get the idea. Now, let's see here. Next step is, I really should check this up, but you basically burn either prograde or retrograde grade, but in this case we're going to be burning right here in 1 minute and 20 seconds. So it actually, when you use the system, it will tell you exactly what you need to do. We need this amount of burn. So it's going to require quite a bit, but I don't think it's going to take too much. It's probably going to take the rest of my fuel though, which of course is it's a little bit of a problem, but not a big one per se. Let's just speed up until we get to. I did it a little bit too long, but that's fine. As you can see, the burn is going to be for 20 or so seconds, and as you can see here, the circle is indeed widening, which is due to us burning fuel. Basically, trying to set ourselves up a orbit here. Now we are in a little bit of an issue here because that little poof that you heard is basically a sign that the 4 rockets that I have on my ship is they're all out of fuel. And in theory, that's not such a bad thing. They were going to run out of fuel anyways, but it's of course an issue with how much fuel that rocket had left. But again, that's not really something that I need to worry about too much, at least, because, well, the fact of the matter is that we have in theory a stable orbit, but we don't have a stable orbit, let's just be honest here. So we're going to be losing some speed. Again, you can't really do anything in the lowest point, you have to do it from the highest if you want to extend, so we're going to do that once we get back over here. But while we wait for that, we can do a little bit more interesting stuff. We can actually do some proper science, and we're going to keep the data, of course. We're going to take it with us. We're going to observe the mystery goo. We're going to Eva Mr. Jeb here, and we're going to have him take an Eva report. Then he's going, of course, to get himself back in the ship. But as you can see, all fuel is gone here, so we might as well just jettison those, and we might as well jettison our other part here. But the only problem, of course, now is that we don't have that much fuel left. We do have a fair bit, mind you, but it's still not enough. But at least I know for a fact now that the jettison system, or the jettison of the bottom part here, is perfectly safe. Now, these things will crash into Kerbal sooner or later, because their orbit is, as you can see here, as you can see, my orbit is actually decreasing by a pretty big margin, and the reason for that is really simple. Thanks to the fact that I'm still technically in the atmosphere, it's slowing down my speed, and as such, it's dragging me down to Earth. So I'm just going to wait until we actually are in the node, and we'll see how this goes. Now, I did a bit of messing up here. So basically, what I did not consider was the fact that the other sign will, of course, also decline. And as you can see here, basically, if I wait now, the only thing that will happen is that both of these will slowly but surely decline, and I'll fall to Earth. Of course, I could try and... Sorry, Kerbal. Of course, I could try and use the little bit of fuel I have in this tank to alleviate that by, of course, going outwards. But I don't feel that the benefit from doing such an act is going to be tremendously helpful. So what we're going to do instead is use this fuel to basically slow down our movement and basically go down into the atmosphere per se, and then we'll see how everything plays out. Of course, we can do some mystery boot checkup here. Good data. We're going to keep that, we're going to keep that, and we're going to observe and keep this. So basically, let us just point a little bit towards Kerbal itself, and as you can see here, that's slowly but surely pointing us down. Of course, if I wanted to plan where to land, for instance, on one of the poles, that could have been useful in terms of getting science, but there's no real proper benefit to that right now, so we're just going to try and burn up our fuel. Reason being really simple: by burning up my fuel, I will, for one, be able to have less weight when I land, which is of course really beneficial. But basically, it's the parachute should be enough, but we're going to keep a tiny bit of fuel in case we do not slow down enough to actually get a safe landing here. But we are under the 10,000 meter mark, so we are rapidly but surely coming towards a quick landing here. Let's just deploy the chutes, and they should kick in any moment now. Let's get down to 1,500, I think. They will, there we go. They have taken a hold, and even so, we're still pretty damn stable. What we do want to do though is get all of the gears out, or landing pods, call it whatever you want it. Of course, we can land safely, and now we can just speed things along because, as you can see, this is going to go pretty damn slowly. So even though I wanted to do a proper landing, proper thingamajig, proper orbit, I didn't manage to do it thanks to basically messing up a little bit too much myself. And there we go. We have landed safely back on Kerbin after achieving half an orbit. Don't know what you want to call it, but all in all, it is fine. I think we're going to, as you can see, we're almost out of electricity as well, so kind of important there. Now, yeah, it did actually survive the fall. Now, if we're going to, for instance, Moon or someplace else, we might want to place some ladders here, but basically we want him to take a EVA report with him and a surface sample. Then we'll recover him. Basically, I think we're just recovering the guy, but they might have changed it. Yeah, we just recovered the guy, and that's beneficial, but we will need to recover that spacecraft because it has... No, I didn't want to fly that thing. Damn it. It works anyway. We're going to recover the vessel as well because it has a ton of science on it. As you can see here, it had a 87.1 science with it, which is useful. And we get a little bit of funds back from the recovered parts. No new missions, unfortunately, so I think I'll achieve a stable orbit on Kerbin next time. I'll build a vessel just for that purpose. A really simple, really small one, prepared for next episode. And please tell me if I should just continue doing basically the system part that I'm doing now with each update. I'll cheat in to some degree, some science to help me out getting started. And if I should pre-plan the ships or just do some hazardous testing and crashing like I did this time. I'll see you around next time. Bye.